The Funders Forum was a great event. You know, this is one of the real pillars of the change that we put in place. We wanted a place where every couple of years all the donors to the CGIAR could sit down with the new consortium board, with the centers, to talk strategy, to talk about common issues, and to really move the place forward. So it was our first one. What was the main thing we did was to look at the strategy and results framework. And it was a very deep discussion. And why was it so deep? It really matters. It's something that if we get right, we're going to put the CGIAR on a fabulous trajectory. So we want to do it well. And so the discussion was about the good parts of the strategy. I think people felt it was in the right direction. A lot of deep work had gone into it, but it could be improved. Then the consortium board felt that way, the centers themselves, and I think there was a widespread feeling among the donors that with a bit more effort, with a bit more pulling together much more of the evidence base and showing linkages between the strategy and the kind of results we want to achieve and how those are going to work their way through the mega programs, we'll have a really, really robust way to move forward. So we agreed to say we accept this in principle. The strategy is in the right direction, but before we do a final approval of the SRF, we'd like another round. And the consortium board is going to take that on board. Up to 6 months it may take them to do that. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but in that time frame. Meanwhile, we're going to continue with the mega programs, especially the fast track ones. We've come up with a scheme that will allow us to, at least in principle, approve mega programs that come over the next little while. Funds can't be dispersed through the fund until the SRF has been completed, but we have workarounds so that if a mega program is approved and if it's linked to the emerging strategy, we'll be able to move forward. Fund Council really was an opportunity for the funders and the representatives to sit down and think about not just how we want to work. We had some procedural things we had to take care of, but really why we're here. And why we're here is to support strategies and support programs. So it was fantastic. We were able to look at the GRISP, which is the Global Rice Partnership that has been put together by a consortium of centers, some partners in advanced research institutions, partners in the South, a variety of partners all the way to NARS. Very exciting research program that's going to scale up dramatically. So this was an opportunity for us to give feedback to those that have put the program together. They're going to take that on board. We're expecting to see it again in September, and we hope to give an approval by November. And why is November important? It's important because there's going to be the International Rice Conference in Rice Council in November, and we want to be able to show the world that we're different. We're actually scaling up, we're working with partners, we're committed to food security, and rice is going to be one of the components of that. We're really looking forward to the next fast-tracked mega program, which is going to be on climate change, and we expect to receive that soon. Very timely, because we're also going to be in the lead up to the next UNFCCC discussions in Cancun. And I think the world is looking to see the CGIAR to move into its rightful place, building on the challenge program that we had on climate change. We're looking at some additional likely mega programs on some other commodities, but we're really hoping that over the next several months we're going to see the full portfolio, because what we really want to see is the strategy, results framework articulated through the mega programs, so that we have a balanced portfolio, we get the work going, we get our scientists excited, and we start showing results. You know, a key element that we were looking for in the mega programs is the gender dimension. I think there's plenty of evidence, there's more than enough evidence that shows unless you figure out ways to both have inclusion of women and men in farming systems, in our agricultural productivity systems, in environmental management, we're just not going to get the results. And so a big theme that all of us have been pushing as part of the reform is to build gender into our programs. We're seeing that in a couple of ways. One is there is going to be an ongoing review of gender dimensions, both at the CGIAR as an institution, but also how we do this in our programs. Second, we've already seen out of the RICE program that there's been an articulation of gender in that program as mainstreamed in that. Maybe not as good as we would have liked. And so some suggestions have been made in terms of how to scale that up even further. I think if we're looking back in a couple of years and we say this reform has been a success, one of the hallmarks is going to be whether or not we really have built gender into our programs. We know it needs to happen to make it work. We just now have to get on with it. You know, people are asking me how I feel about the reform and what advice that I might give to the Fund Council, to colleagues in the centers, to Ingrid Andersen, who's going to be replacing me in the Fund Council. You know, I think it's just to kind of keep our eye on the people that we're trying to serve, the environment and the future generations, and know that that's out there. I mean, what motivated me was an institution that was, I feel, not really performing where it could be. And so who cares? There's a lot of institutions that don't perform well. But this one has such promise to really be able to feed hungry people, to be able to protect the environment for future generations. We have that promise. So sometimes it's frustrating, and sometimes it's brocky, and lots of times we're not going to agree. But you wake up in the morning knowing it's worth it because of what the mission of the organization is. And so that's my advice to those that are going to be continuing with the reform process, is to just keep your eye on the results, put a human face on it. You can get through the day and get through what may otherwise be not very pleasant discussions and find an outcome at the end.